Well, fair and balanced to the Democrat who says all of this hand-wringing over the health care law has much ado about nothing. A big friend of the Clintons, Lanny Davis, says Hillary has no backlash to fear. Lanny, always good having you. You know the drill here, that this thing it might be hanging by a financial thread, especially if a lot of Americans find they end up owing more taxes than they thought on it. And if the Supreme Court rules against it, does that get to be an albatross for Hillary Clinton?
Well, there was an expression used some time ago saying, mend it, don't end it. And I think we do have to mend Obamacare in some respects, but I support the principle, as does the former Secretary of State Clinton. And by the way, I'm here as a friend of, not speaking officially. Absolutely. But I'll tell you one thing that could mend it, Neil, that's going to sound conservative to you, but it's actually right where Obamacare should have been in the first place. And that is using these public exchanges as a backstop and using the private sector, which has private exchanges, and I represent one of them, eHealth, located in California, as a way for the people to look to the private sector to get health insurance, with government as a backstop rather than the billions spent when you can go using Google and you get a private exchange for free without any government money.
You know, if you hear this health care debate, Lanny, it comes down to the Democrats saying, look at the millions who have coverage, who presumably would vote Democrat, you would think. And then all the other folks who are complaining about paying higher premiums, who might be less predisposed to vote Democrat. Do you think it cuts that way? And do you think Republicans make this a signature issue to say, this is what Democrats do? They leave you with a financial albatross.
Look, I think the answer is the way you asked the Congresswoman, very telling that she said, we need a bridge. But she didn't say where the bridge led. Reminded me of the famous expression, bridge to nowhere. So she said, we need a bridge to phase out people in her state who are going to lose their insurance if the Supreme Court overrules the federal exchanges. But then she didn't say what her solution is. I'm giving you a solution consistent with being a supporter of Obamacare, which is look at the private sector, private exchanges that pre-existed the notion of an exchange. For 15 years, there's been this private exchange that I represent, eHealth. And it was there for free.
I know you just say you don't speak for Hillary Clinton. Do you know whether she supports such an idea?
I have no idea, and I don't speak for her, but I'll tell you this, that public-private partnerships are part of the democratic progressive vocabulary. We believe that the private sector is the engine of growth and jobs.
Wait a minute, I thought you guys hated the private sector.
That's not true. But we do think the private sector needs regulation. And in this case, private exchanges are subject to federal regulation. They have to sign detailed agreements. The state of California spent $1 billion building its exchange when it had for free in Silicon Valley a private exchange that could have been used to sign up tax subsidy eligible people.
It's not an awful idea. It's not an awful idea. But I do want to talk a little bit about your old friend Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and this idea that some on the left are just not keen on her. And they want an alternative candidate to run, an Elizabeth Warren, and that she has got to be very aware that, hence this conundrum where she is trying to satisfy her financial backers, many from the Wall Street community who the left hates, and still attack those bankers and financial types at the same time. Is that going to cost her, and is that a prescription for trouble?
First of all, I can only tell you I don't know what they're talking about because they never name an issue that she's wrong on. They talk about Senator Warren, and they don't identify an issue where they differ. They talk about rhetoric about being anti-Wall Street. She believes the private sector is an engine of growth, but she believes in regulating, and she believes in the Financial Services Protection Bureau. That is a regulation of big banks that are too big to fail. So I don't know what they're talking about, but I will tell you this. As somebody that will maybe be governing as President of the United States, I hope so. She knows that the broad center of this country, the left of center and the right of center, is where elections are won or lost. And as somebody who governs, she reached across the aisle. John McCain was one of her best friends in the U.S. Senate. Lindsey Graham and Hillary Clinton co-sponsored legislation that gave veterans health insurance.
Do you think she'll be any better at that than Barack Obama?
I won't say better or worse. I'm not going to go there, but I will tell you her record is bipartisan, purple solutions while she's a progressive Democrat. And ask John McCain, or Robert Byrd once called her a workhorse, not a show horse. All her life, she has worked hard, and she reaches across the aisle, and that's why she will be a successful president. I believe she will be a president.
All right. So I'm going to put you down as a maybe on Hillary Clinton in the meantime. Lanny Davis, always good seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.